Probably the worst show I've ever watched. Bloated imitation of Dragon Ball's legacy. The entire concept of Devil Fruits feels like a weaker version of Dragon Ball power-ups. There are no words for the show this terrible. This show is a disgrace to humanity. This shit boring as hell. You've used
5 commas. Your pacing's a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, 5-star news looks like this. I'm giving you niggas hope, and it might actually just be real at that point. That might be a W leak. That's 5-star news, though. What I'm about to present to you is a couple of one-star
reviews.
We're about to get some hate takes off. And now, about who? Who?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The 1-star One Piece reviews are here.
It's time for us to look at this show, some of you guys' peak, and get some toxic reviews about them. We're just gonna read some bullshit. It's gonna either be great or terrible. If you're a hater, I don't know why you're saying, oh, boo, or whatever, because
this video's for you. This is your kind.
Here we go. All right, so this first review is starting from somebody in the middle of Dressrosa. I'm a big fan of Japanese animes like Code Geass, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, etc. I started watching this anime since it was one of the most famous ones. But I have never seen an anime this slow paced. Best thing about this anime is that you will never miss the story. Because even after missing hundreds of episodes, the story will still be the same. Oh no. For example, the Whitebeard Pirates' war against the government ran more than World War I and II put together. Luffy started to run towards his brother at some point in the anime. Even after skipping 50 episodes, he was still running towards his... Hey, is that true? Wait. He probably jazzing it a bit, but that might be true. He was running after his brother, and for 50 episodes, he's still running. Hey, man, Snowhats, look, I'm here 90% of this video. I'm going to tell you now, 90% of this video, I'm going to be correcting a hater or some things, but there's going to be a 10%. And that 10%, if it's either funny or even if he's kind of cooking. This one's at least funny. He was still running. I seriously don't understand how people can watch this anime if they have seen Dragon Ball, which is extremely fast-paced and from the legendary Akira Toriyama. What's fast-paced? I ain't gonna lie. Hold on now. Hold on now. We're comparing. Hold on now. One Piece, Tortoise. I ain't saying Dragon Ball's a hair now, dog. Hold on now. Hold on now. Two things can be true. Whoa, gangy. Hey, my glorious king's Goku. I'm a Dragon Ball stan. I believe in Xeno 3. But hold on, buddy. Dragon Ball has literally made Kai for a reason, dog. That shit, when nigga got hit in the stomach, that was like 10 seconds. That was like 10 seconds, twin. Goku versus Frieza. I don't really like that point because it's a climactic fight. That's different. But either way, nah. Even then, 30 episodes. But either way, man. Yeah, hold on now, buddy. It's a shame that One Piece authors claims that he is inspired by Goku from Dragon Ball. If you want to waste time on utterly useless things, I'm assuming, this has to be the one. Trust me, I've wasted my time till now, not anymore. Helpful 183, disliked 570. I will say, okay, so this is a Dragon Ball fan turned heel on One Piece. Case in point for this, outside of him referencing Dragon Ball twice, is he references it twice within the 4 animes he's watched. He says Code Geass, Naruto, Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball Z. Credit for watching original Dragon Ball being said. In terms of One Piece being poorly paced, I mean, I'm not going to repeat myself the entire video. I'm going to repeat it a couple times because a couple people are going to keep saying it. But overall, we all understand it. I've yet to see a Straw Hat like fight for the pacing, because even there, like, yeah, this is kind of crazy. People have argued it's a combination of Stockholm and whatever that other syndrome is. You know, Twitter learns new words. But ultimately, I get if One Piece is too slow for you. Just don't lie and say Dragon Ball is fast. That's all I ask. But I truly do understand. If One Piece is way too slow for you, that's just straight up fair. Read the whole review. I kept waiting for the anime to be good, but there is so bad. Okay. I wait, and the story never moves on. It keeps on being the same bad series for so long. It never moves. He never learns new things except the 4-year skip. I waited 500 episodes to come, and then they made one cool episode. 500 episodes for one cool episode? All right, now. Also, 2-year time skip, buddy. Shout out to chat. Yeah, 4 is crazy. So people would watch again to milk and make money, and then right after, it's so bad again. He's supposed to have gotten so much stronger, and right after, he can't do anything. And Zoro and the others can't do anything. Some fish guys, against some fish guys, and they never use their new good abilities. I'm really mad that he's making me watch this arc again, but hold on. Mind you, yeah, I would also argue before we get to the part that I'm pretty confident I see in this arc that him being able to use Gear 3 and not turn into a baby was new. I'd classify that as a new power. Him being able to just like turn on Gear 2 on and off, he kind of was already pretty good at that, but like Gear 3 was always something where he used it and he was a baby. And now he's just like, he can go Gear 3 and then chill again. It was like kind of eye-opening how the anime didn't even like portray it that seriously. It was just like he did it and everybody was like, wait, what? Like the characters, I'm talking about us, the audience. He did it and nobody really reacted when he just didn't turn into a baby. It was just like, oh shit, what the fuck? But he was spamming the bitch like it was nothing. Cause I don't think I'm making this up. Yeah, he never did that before, buddy. I don't know. Yeah, side note, fuck you for making me watch Fishman Island. But yeah, he never did Red Hawk. Furthermore, the new powers, the main thing that Luffy has now is like hockey and shit. That's not new. When was the first Red Hawk, if that's not new? All right. Anyway, all right. So let's gonna move on. Let's go. He swung got so much stronger. Zoro and others can't do anything. So fish guy. Wait, Zoro was boxing up the Fishman. What the fuck? Sure, sure, the new episodes are better or something, but I'm not gonna watch it. He then goes. Sure, the new episodes are better or something. Wait, what? But I'm not going to watch 1,000 episodes just for that. Like, if you want to watch a better anime, go watch One Punch Man. Oh, God. Anime fans, stop bringing up a random soapbox. Like this review could have been all it was without saying this. What I'll say is you acknowledging that there's something good later. I don't know what kind of scenes you like, though. Because do you just want your main character to kind of like pub stomp? And are you referring to Gear 5? Because that would be maybe where you're getting at. Because Luffy for the longest time isn't necessarily a pub stomper. He always has to make the comeback. He kind of like a comeback kid. Kind of like an underdog, spoiled brat. Not spoiled brat, but a brat who doesn't understand what the world's really like yet. All the way until you get to like Sabaody, in my opinion. Sure, he obviously gets some W's. Nobody's saying he didn't win, but you know what I mean. So maybe you like, and considering you said One Punch Man, maybe you're a fan of your main character being the favorite to win a fight. That's what it seems like. You're a big fan of the main character putting Rod out there. I like One Piece very much, but nowadays they cannot complete one chapter of the manga in one episode. They are always showing previews of previous episodes for like 3 to 4 minutes. That's every anime in existence. I'm not even saying that on the cope. That's just life. Chat, name your favorite anime right now. They've done it 99 times out of 10. Maybe there's one guy that found the one anime that didn't. 9 times out of 10, your anime has done that several times. Screen time is also going very slow. They're taking a lot of time just to complete one sentence. Yeah. So nowadays, I prefer reading the manga rather than watching the anime. As comparison to other anime, One Piece story is moving very slow. You don't like the pacing. That's fine. That's valid. But like your complaints about the previous episode thing, it can get egregious in One Piece. Absolutely. One Piece literally, I would say I was skipping to around the 8-minute mark to start episodes. So I agree with you there. And I do think some anime straight up don't do that. But again, this is just pacing diff. It's just not your cup of tea because the pacing's bad. That's fine. You at least like the story considering you read the manga. You just can't do with the slow time. So that's honestly kind of respectable. I don't understand how this show has so many positive reviews. I love this anime, but the show was boring. I gave it a shot. Watched until the Fishman arc. Oh. Yeah, I've seen so many people try to go back and say Thriller Bark's underrated and fire and shit. You want to know how I know Fishman Island's bad? Because I don't see that with niggas doing Fishman. And I know Straw Hats defend every arc ever. At first it was Skypiea that got shat on, and it still kind of does, but now it's really Thriller Bark that's getting shat on, and I will gladly lead that charge. And then after that, it's looking like Fishman's going to be next. Through both arcs, Fishman was always getting slandered. But the thing is, they don't even fight that fight. Whether you're a Sanji fan and you can't stand that shit, whether you do not give a fuck about the ugly ass designs, let alone Horty, or the fact that it's like, well, why do we have to do all this Luffy shit? Look like Zoro had it in the Look, whatever the case may be, it's ooh, that's an arc, dog. That is an arc of One Piece for sure. But there's just nothing enjoyable about the show. The characters are not likable at all. That's crazy. The mythos of the show makes absolutely no sense, and by far the worst action scenes ever in an anime. A 45-second still shot of a fist and the sound of grunting is not enjoyable to watch. One Piece fights in the beginning half look like Pokemon. You made it to the time skip though. That's where I will say, no, you're just hating. One Piece post time skip is not bad visually in terms of fights. Now, if you want to argue in the scene we just watched where the big ass fist moving slowly, whatever the case may be, sure, some animes definitely do that, but I would just point to very fast paced fights that have happened in the time skip. Hell, even in the same arc, I was just talking about Zoro fighting Horty, and when he was like in that room and he was underwater and shit, that was the only reason it was fair and stuff. Yeah, it's whatever. I don't really give a fuck. Now, my mythos and ethos bag is retired, so I'm going to Google the difference just to be sure. I think it's pathos and ethos. See, I'm retired. Hold on. Mythos, a myth or mythology. Okay, that's what I thought. Set beliefs about something. All right. In terms of the mythos of the show making absolutely no sense, I mean, it's kind of the mystery of the show. Where's the One Piece? Who's going to get it? Yada, yada, yada. I think it doesn't make sense because you can't predict what's going to happen. I don't know. I'm going to have to say so far, the only one that seems respectable is the guy that said the show is genuinely too slow. I'm just going to read the manga because that's a very fair criticism. And this guy was funny as shit talking about 50 episodes later, he was still running. That was funny. The production of the show and quality of the anime has become so bad. I can't even enjoy the show now. I don't know what's wrong with the studio exactly, but they need to fix it and work on solutions. I will be happy to see fillers in the anime instead of what I'm seeing now in these episodes. Damn. So this is around 2021. I mean, there are some episodes, especially November 13th, 2021. Let me see. Wano. Okay, well, that's okay. Well, look, I fuck with One Piece. Wano had some episodes where this is a valid complaint. Hey. Wano definitely has some episodes where it has some complaints. And if you can't make it through the 80 episodes of that, you are missing out on some all-time anime episodes, in my opinion. But simultaneously, or at least one all-time anime episode. I don't want to throw that all-time term around, but definitely one of them. However, no. I'm not gonna front to you. That you crazy. You not crazy. I'm sorry, I said you crazy. You not crazy, bro. There's some bullshit in there. There's some bullshit in there, though. I ain't gonna lie. And I fuck with Wano. I ain't gonna lie. There's some bullshit in there. Oda does a great job designing cities, towns, and even unique attires for characters. He's got one shortcoming. He can't draw women. Oh. Not at all. He's got 3 faces and 3 body types for women. Everything else is a mixed match from then on. It's been over a decade, so you think he would have got it down by now. Instead, he's taking the idea of a bigger breast means nobody will notice all the faces are the same. Nobody dies. Ace died, Whitebeard died, nobody died in the present. All other deaths were in the past. That's if Zoro didn't kill Monet. We wouldn't have seen evidence as to if she survived or not. Probably just paralyzed. Some creators have an itchy trigger finger, but not Uda. Nobody's dying, so it's okay. The show's too long. I'm not talking about the overall story being too long. I'm talking about just some of the arcs. Did you know in the time it took the Straw Hats to get from Fishman to Zoe that I started college, graduated college, got a job in the field I studied, and put 8 months to qualify for my 401k with about an extra month to spare. But only about a week has passed in the story. Let's fact check. Is that possible? Fishman Island to Zoe. Damn. 4 years, 7 and 9 months. Well, shit. Well, shit. That's full from 2012 to 2016. Oh my God, niggas went from the Harlem Shake to Little Uzi. Oh my God. Can you imagine 2012 Meek Mill was like one of the trendy rappers out there. 2016 nigga shoulder rolling. Oh man. That's wow, that's tough. But only about a week has passed in the story, longest week ever. Not to mention the exposition. Exposition is one of the strong points of One Piece. However, sometimes there's just too damn much. Sometimes we get a backstory for characters we will never see again, characters that will not have relevance to the story in the future. Cutting some of this out would help shorten some of these arcs. Like we got more information on the war on Sky Island than we did about Eno. Than we did about the background on Eno, a key character. Yeah, that's an interesting conversation as well. Because you have an author that kind of doesn't want to reveal everything for so long, it does feel this way. It do feel like sometimes you get a backstory on some shit and it doesn't fucking matter. And then 1,000 episodes later, it actually does matter. Case in point, like fucking Moria. I thought I'd never see that nigga again. And then he the first nigga at Pirate Island per se. And he's probably still gonna be back around and stuff like that. Or with who else? With Garp, right? Like you know, you don't get all the background shit on Garp. Or hell, even just sticking to that area, my boy Ned, my goat Ned. You didn't get to see all the training stuff until like further later in the series. So there's just a ton of stuff with characters that sometimes is either blank until it's time to pay it off, or you get it early, but then it feels like it's pretty fucking meaningless, but then later on has meaning. Like the inverse of that, for example, Laboon. Laboon, you didn't think fucking mattered at all. It's just some whale that they were strangely giving backstory to. And like 500 episodes later, it actually did matter. Bonnie, this chat said, a fantastic example. We can go on and on and on about it. If you think that's a flaw, I can see it, to be very honest with you. You would like to see like kind of some innuendo that this character is actually going to matter, but versus feeling like you wasted your time because it's kind of deflating. It doesn't hurt the story from a narrative sense, but it's definitely not a good feeling to have. So I think this guy, more than just being a common hater, he just has pretty valid criticisms. In terms of drawing the women, I mean, he ain't the only one that feel that way. he ain't the only one that feel that way. Nah, Kuma does matter. Someone in the chat must have said Kuma. I didn't say Kuma. And Kuma is also like kind of presented to matter the entire time. There's even hints like Frankie's convinced he's gonna meet Wu, and then the ship's safe, you know? So yeah, type shit. Too many filler episodes. The story is stretched out too long and too many filler episodes. The animation is very weird too. I wish another studio like Mappa or Ufotable, I don't know ball, I'm sorry, did the animation. The characters seem to be interesting though, but the MC kind of acts too much like Goku. Nah, Luffy and Goku ain't the same, nigga. Luffy and Goku ain't the same, nigga. Luffy and Goku ain't the same, nigga. The Ufot niggas is Demon Slayer, cool. Yeah, nah, Goku and Luffy ain't the same, nigga. Wano destroy the anime. Oh, shit. Wano destroyed the anime. Starting from the best pirate anime ever created to one of the most boring anime I've ever seen. Wano Arc is so boring and consuming a lot of the time without actual valid reasons. So blind fans will keep dreaming that the anime is still hyped, but as I said, they blind fans. Wano, again, I will not tell nobody that Wano at one point isn't kinda, and I did it when I was live. Bitch. Doctor. Rupees. Like, you know, it's kind of egregious with the running and shit. It's egregious with like having like 10 fucking plot lines at the same time. Someone saying it's my fault for doing a 36-hour stream on it, but that wouldn't change my opinion. If I had to sit there and watch every episode with you all regardless, y'all would be saying the same things because y'all were saying it live and multiple viewers didn't say the entire time. It was just straight up facts about the show. It's a matter of there's several times where there's a certain story, and I even said it during the stream. It was like with Wano, there were some plot points that were significantly more entertaining and fun than others, but almost out of spite in a way. It would transition to another point and then remind you something else is going on that you actually care about, then go back to another minor point. Like there was like maybe 8 plot points going on at the same time. And you do have to address those 8 plot points, but I appreciated how they did it kind of like with Sanji's episode and Zoro's episode and stuff like that. I can appreciate stuff like that, but it would be like, instead of that, it's all in like 1 or 2 episodes. We're going back and forth all over the place. And then in reality, you finish the episode and only like 2 main things really happen. And it's just like, okay, I guess Carrot is still ready to avenge, I guess fucking Usopp and Nami might die. But that's like kind of serious. But they were kind of jokey about it until they had that serious scene. Shout out Nami, by the way. I think Nami was underrated in this arc. I guess Chopper's gonna deal with Queen before Usopp before Sanji starts dealing with Queen. And it was like a ton of like give and take from it. Yeah, that's how I would take it. It wasn't even like it was addressing separate plot points. It was kind of like give and take and just not letting any story really breathe a bit. And I feel like when you do it all at once, it kind of, we're not talking about this or this. We're talking about this. It was all kind of like scrambled and stuff. It was almost hard to even keep up with a bit. Now that I would say maybe it's because at some point I get fatigued or whatever the case may be, but I'm talking about in the early beginning. Once you get to Kaido's Island, not the beginning. Beginning was pretty straight up. Granted, some fights were pretty boring. I personally don't like the puppet guy. Forgot his name. I personally think he sucks, but I know that's a hot take. Point is, yeah, it definitely consumes a lot of time, and a lot of the time consumed can be seen as not having a valid reason. However, and to the people that are going crazy trying to keyboard it up, I still ultimately disagree with the idea that saying that this wasn't hype or that saying that this isn't hype is just incorrect. And furthermore, that, damn, I said that wrong. But I will disagree with him in the idea that he thinks that if you think this is hype, that you're just a blind fan. Absolutely not. I mean, I named some of the payoffs of this arc. Whether you have the fucking pillow pets ulting, whether you have the shit with Kinemon and them when they actually move that forward before doing the craziest revert of all time, in my opinion. When you have Roof Piece, when you have Sanji actually take out Queen and Zoro actually take out King, and Chopper finally being able to cure niggas and shit. There were definitely payoffs there. Hell, even with Nami, who I just said was underrated in the arc, multiple times is pushed to her limit to death, and then one time even told Luffy's dead, and she's like, nah, fuck you. I think almost literally dropped an F-bomb. She said like bitch or bullshit or something. But like, yeah, no, impossible. That didn't happen. So there's significant payoffs and hype moments. I mean, I didn't even mention Gear 5 itself. There's definitely hype moments in Wano for me to sit there and say, oh, yeah, Gangy, I agree with you. You're a blind fan if you don't think this is hype. That's kind of crazy. A very long work, and there are fillers and unimportant episodes. Well, that's every anime ever. Some anime keep it short to make sure they don't fuck up. Just an extension of the work. This is my personal opinion. It's a failed job. There are better anime in all aspects. I can't really comment on this. I mean, he just basically said, shit ain't for me, gang. That's tough. I think it's a bad anime because the fights are bad and the characters, oh my God, water break. I think it is a bad anime because its fights are bad and its characters are many. And the writer is not able to give the right to all of them. Okay, I see what he's trying to say. Then it comes that the story is nearing completion and 90% of the mystery has not been clarified. That's true. It is very bad that it is at the end of the story and at the end of the arc. Secondly, and he said this 2 years ago, excessive stretching is supposed to have already ended, giving the silly things a large part of the episodes and making the viewer feel bored. A comedy that is repetitive and trivial and makes me feel nauseous. The designs of the characters I did not like at all, so that the female characters are all imitated by Nami, only some minor modifications. In the end, not worth wasting your time on. Yeah, he said we're in the final stretch in 2023. I'm not going to go back to the timing thing. I don't know if the quote about 90% is true or not. I doubt he would just lie. He might have, but I doubt he would just lie. But even if he was objectively telling the truth, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we still don't know about, and you would have to assume the show has to be coming to a close at some point, or they're going to do double the length. Then at that point, we really ain't got nothing to talk about. Longest season 1 of all time. In terms of the character designs of females, again, I personally don't hate them as much as a lot of anime fans do, but I think it's very ignorant if a One Piece fan didn't sit there and not see any way, shape, or form what these people are talking about. I don't think these are gooners, because if anything, One Piece characters, especially the women, get drawn kind of goony. Furthermore, what else did he say? Oh, his point about because the fights are bad. I think the fights get better over time. And now with the characters, there's so many of them. It's hard to give their good screen time or rights to all of them. I would say that's unironically kind of his strong point. I'm genuinely impressed by Ura that he is able to present me with so many characters and I can actually care about a good amount of these characters. I would say that's probably the most impressive thing about him. Now, do I think that he's kind of like, and not to do comparisons, but I'm just trying to keep this easy for you all to comprehend. In terms of like Dragon Ball or probably even Naruto is more prevalent in this conversation. Yeah. Now, in terms of Naruto per se, there's a lot of characters that come to you, but there's like so many notorious ones that people hold dearly to them that they'll just scream and cry about. Like, how dare you slander Shisui Uchiha? Gangy, Shisui Uchiha didn't even do shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just the hypothetical man is getting glazed and stuff like that. I do think he can't make everyone get that kind of love for everybody, but he can definitely make every character feel important. I think that actually is very, if not even more impressive, that he can make like this fucking, again, I'm gonna go back to Laboon. He can make this fucking whale someone I actually don't want to see get cooked. Someone I actually care about somewhat. Yeah, I think that's where I'll just outwardly disagree with you. He can actually introduce a ton of characters and actually do right by more than he doesn't do, to say the very least. Very, very slow anime. A lot of repetitive content and so much is predictable. Okay, all right, you're a genius. If One Piece is predictable to you, you're Einstein. First of all, I've seen many anime series, but this is the slowest I have seen. Fair. With the same repetitive content, no real surprise. Luffy teams fights for like 100 episodes against every villain, and in the end, out of nowhere, he throws the same punch against this enemy and wins. For 100 episodes, I mean, that's exposition, but yeah, sure. In the first 100 episodes, yeah, it's just like kind of like how original Dragon Ball for a while, Goku getting the last bit of energy, knock him out. Sure. Luffy in the beginning of the series. Yeah, at some point, it seems like he can come back and finally get the dub. However, Luffy just objectively loses at some point. Oh, I get what he's saying. So why not do that in 3 episodes? Okay, I understand you need to drag it further at least to 10, but seriously, like now I am watching this fight against Wano Land, and it's been 200 episodes, and they've been repeatedly doing the same stuff over and over and over again. The show made me angry at this point. Like, why would you repeat the same gum punch against the same enemy for 300 times? Well, that's how its power works. It's how the quirk works. You just don't like the quirk. He's not gonna be able to bend time or teleport or no shit. I mean, funny enough, he can kind of see in the future. You had to let that cook a bit. Now the question is, do you want these things presented to you earlier in the series, and maybe that would have made you feel better? Maybe that's what it is. You feel like Luffy's fighting style hasn't progressed. I think that's kind of being the story told. Now, granted, 300 episodes to tell that story, fair, but that's kind of the story being told, that he progresses over time. But mind you, this is just going to be a slight intermission. I want to be very clear again. I said there's going to be 2-3 times where I clarify that this is a very valid complaint. Yeah, dog. I'm sorry. If someone is looking at that episode count and don't want to give it a try, that's valid. If someone's looking at this stuff and like, God damn, this is very valid shit. Nobody's saying that when you actually do it, it ends up being bad. Well, so these people might. But all in all, it's definitely a little gaslighty to tell somebody, and I've always thought this. It's gaslighty to tell somebody, yo, Boruto gets good at 200 episodes. Yo, Dragon Ball get good. Yo, you got to start from the beginning, but Dragon Ball don't really get going to like the Buu Saga. Like, you know, that shit is always gaslighty to me, and I always think the answer is just have quality over quantity and just convey the message as thoroughly while at the same time effectively and efficiently. So I don't want you cutting out major points of plot, but there's no reason. I mean, they're literally dropping one pace, yada, yada, yada. The pacing thing is going to get jumped over as it seemed like it's okay, and it's not. It took a while. That's a very valid complaint about One Piece. It became boring and unjustifiably long. Today is August 30th, 2023. I no longer watch One Piece, the series, as passionately as before. Boring, repetitive episodes, many replays, and the main content of each episode barely exceeds 10 minutes. The rest of the episode is repeating, thinking, or pausing images. I will stop watching One Piece as soon as Kaido was defeated. I don't care anymore. Also, I do not forget skipping the production of many episodes without a convincing reason, just to increase views or for lack of clarity of vision. The episode did not air this week. Whatever the reasons, this only indicates a lack of interest among views and followers. I would rather see One Piece produced by Netflix. Okay. Wow. I don't want One Piece produced by Netflix. I don't want a Netflix special of the original anime, but you do got a live action, so round of applause to you. Yeah, this is what I was kind of talking about. You do kind of have to skip into these things. But this is more like a week-to-week complaint, which I will always say. It's easier to binge a show, especially knowing what's filler and what's not. This is a more live action complaint, and I wouldn't be able to speak on that. I had the luxury of being able to binge. Hell, I have the luxury of being able to be like, hey, editors, what around what arc, what episode range do you think I need to turn the camera on and what I don't, whatever the case may be. Now, I personally like to watch shows blind, but I have a job. But ultimately, yeah, this is if I was binging a show and I'm like, okay, this is just one of them episodes where we're obviously trolling. Oh, this one's literally labeled filler. Yeah, get it out of here. Week to week, I wouldn't know how One Piece was week to week. It seems like hell. They're making a One Piece remake with better pacing. Yeah, ain't it One Piece? Worst pacing ever. Before the time skip, I used to be a big fan, but oh my God, the pacing was so bad. And after the time skip, it got even worse. The characters have literally zero development, just bigger abs and breast. If you enjoy watching 50 episodes of Big Mom running after cake, this is it. Oh. All right, chat. Look. One Piece fans, come here. That nigga got you. Zero development, he's lying. Zero development, he's lying. We all know that's crazy. I'll talk about how that's wrong in a second. Big Mom yelling after the wedding cake. Won that nigga. That was annoying. That was I'm not even trolling. That was probably the most genuinely annoyed I've been watching One Piece. I'm not gonna lie. When Big Mom kept fucking screaming about this goddamn wedding cake and would not shut up. And it was in the background of other dialogue. It was dominating what was, I think, one of the best fights in the series. It was just every 5-10 minutes, we got to cut back to remind y'all that the Straw Hats are running from Big Mom, who will not shut the fuck up about this wedding cake. It was very annoying to hear. That's just valid. In terms of the characters having literally zero development, just bigger abs and breasts, I mean, that's obviously a fucking lie. I would talk about it, but I truly don't have to dignify that. Luffy has development. Zoro has development. Sanji has significant development. Hell, you're even referring to Whole Cake and Sanji doesn't have development? Get real. I really hate what they did with this anime. The biggest disappointment was the Gear 5 fight. I mean, it was so hype, but they decided to ruin it with bad animations and goofy sounds. Bad animations. Hey, you don't have to like the animations. The sounds are goofy. Bad animations? Bad. Bad is a lie. Goofy? Yes. You don't like them? Fine. I've always said you don't have to like Gear 5. It visually looks bad. Liar. Liar. The samurai were supposed to be strong, but they really did nothing at all because it's Kaido. I really hope they finish the anime in a good way, but my hope ain't high. Okay, so he's still watching, but he gave it 1 star. Yeah, no. Gear 5 animation bad is crazy. I don't even know what to say to that. It objectively looks very creative. It looks like they're having fun drawing that bitch for a reason. It's kind of wild. Now, in terms of you not liking Gear 5, I will never argue with this. It's one of those things that it fits the character so well, but in reality, it's kind of like a turn off to what most anime fans are accustomed to. You know, when you get the power up, the character actually locks in. Sometimes they goof off a bit, but for the most part, this is a lock in. We're getting real. Let's throw punchies. In Gear 5, Buddy might play baseball. Buddy might put himself in a conveyor belt and fly at you. So, yeah, it's for sure. I mean, he might make your eyes pop out. The nigga might fuse with your chest. He can do all this crazy shit. And the cartoonish designs certainly do not help make it feel childish. Now he's named Joy Boy, all the other stuff. Again, it's valid. Nobody that actually watched the show and like cared about the show would say that Gear 5 isn't a valid transformation. It certainly is, but I can see it being a turnoff for a good amount of anime fans. Samurai not being able to beat or do significant things in Wano would defeat the point of the story of why they needed help to begin with. So I just completely disagree with you there. That's just wrong. The zero development thing, again, I thought was wrong as well, but I do give you a game because I don't give a fuck what paragraph might be in chat. Very fair criticism. After watching 1,070 episodes, why should Gear 5 end up like that? Is it Tom and Jerry or what? Is it Tom and Jerry or what? I was watching Wano for almost 3 years and waiting for his fight with Kaido, hoping to watch the greatest and most glorious fight. In One Piece, goddamn grammar. But it turned out to be the worst fight. After 1,000 episodes, you're changing the animation style? Are you really pros? His Red Rock was 100 times better than that nonsense last punch, which took more than 2 episodes to land. That's true. It wasn't funny or cool at all, and the One Piece is no place for that fights. Please don't dislike the anime for it. Please don't disappoint the real fans with more than this, and save One Piece when it's time to laugh, we laugh. But for Luffy versus Kaido, we needed goosebumps and not laughs. Though I'm saying again, it wasn't funny at all. Don't ever animate this fight like this again. Got some bad news for you. Niggas still think Luffy has rubber powers. Yeah, you've been hot take hunting the chat, but I do agree with you there. Yeah, no, that's what it seems like. A lot of these people, I'm not trying to seem like a pretentious prick or a straw hat glaze or anything like that, but it seems like a lot of these people just kind of missed the point. It just seems like that's what it is. A lot of people just seem to have missed the point. And maybe we'll do a video breaking down what Gear 5 it is, why it's good and or bad, but that's what it seems like. A lot of people have missed the point because, I mean it's in the fucking name, Joy Boy. Whatever. So yeah, then maybe that's what we're due for. It just seems like a lot of people miss the point with Luffy. Yeah, no, sure. I will, of course, Luffy versus Kaido, most climactic fight in the series. You want the payoff and the drama to be there. Like, all right, Luffy's funny and stupid. All right, Zoro gets lost. All right, Sanji's perfect, but okay. It's time to be serious now. I get that. And if the transformation going from the most dramatic and most fulfilling dialogue in the series, I believe, what is it, 10-15, where Luffy walks up there and shit, and like he sees what happened to all the samurai and stuff, you want more of the drama to finally be there. Absolutely no debate on that. If that's robbed from you, you will be upset. Nobody will be able to tell me that it's their unjustified feeling that way. What I will say, though, is you not being able to put together why it's that way is kind of crazy. Gear 5 just works perfectly for this character, if not the series. And I don't think it ruined the fight for me because I knew because I'm fortunate to, at least in my opinion, and if some people say I don't know shit if I ever disagree with them, I think it worked so well with Luffy and the rest of the series, and it set the tone for what's potentially going to happen in the future that it does work. Furthermore, what's revealed and maybe what he's really upset about is at first Luffy's just unbearably laughing and stuff, but we've also seen at Egghead and in Wano, Luffy can still lock in with Gear 5. It's not even like an aspect that's entirely lost. I think for many reasons, Gear 5 is definitely applicable. There's a reason why some Straw Hats deludedly try to go all the way to the top and say, yeah, we beat Super Saiyan. But ultimately, it's a fantastic transformation. And it's sad that it seems like majority of these people just don't quite get it. Now, if it's not for you, it's not for you in terms of the goofy shit, though. First of all, the anime is good that you can enjoy long over time, but it's not the best. Mind-blowing, perfect anime to watch as all talk about it. Established world connection is great, but oh, Jesus Christ. These niggas can't type. But storyline of every arc is written poorly with literally nonsense hype and stretching plot. Nonsense hype? One Piece and nonsense hype? If anything, the complaint would be that it doesn't have One Piece nonsense hype because everything must be explained. That would be the criticism. With a criticism of One Piece wouldn't be that it has nonsensible, aura farming and hype. He's ruining my English. Nonsensible aura farming and hype, but literally that it takes too long to just simply get to a point like that. And I know when you argue those things, a Straw Hat nigga will be like, you like Dragon Ball. You like Naruto. You're just Ooga Booga. No, at some point, dog, all right, give me the fucking payoff. We don't need to pull my wrestling fans. We don't need are you enjoying the show? We don't need that, gang. You just go, bruh. Damn. So if anything, the criticism for One Piece would be like everything is explained to the 9th, 10th million degree and or a miscellaneous mystery for some unknown reason. Not that it has random nonsensible hype. That's crazy. Plot is literally changed with just nonsense, unacceptable reasoning like stupidity. Each arc is unreasonably stretched and made it bore in name of buildup. It's irritating. People just call the anime the best just because it's still running in cute jokes. But obviously it's just overstretched nonsensely given reason and okay, Jesus Christ. I'm done. Yeah, the grammar is fucking me up. I tried to, by the way, if anyone's looking at that and saying, you didn't even read it right. No, I tried to make sense of bad grammar just now. I tried to fix the sentence and it didn't fucking work. One Piece was one of my favorite anime of all time when I watched 600 episodes in a row. When I started to watch it weekly, things started to get boring waiting week to week to see nothing. Oh, that's tough. So I get into the manga and there's not that much of a difference. Pacing is too slow, plus same jokes and lines except for 1,000 plus episodes. What could have been in 5 chapters made in 40. Same plot. And Alan gets subjected to injustice and persecution. They meet a little girl or princess and we see bad. I'll give him a game. That was funny. All right, I'll give him a game. That's funny. Very mediocre story. MC is cringe. Animation changes drastically. Worst pacing. Every arc animation changes drastically. That's not a bad thing. Nick, it's been running for a decade plus. It's okay to. Anyway, every arc repeats itself. Don't get the hype at all. Probably the worst show I've ever watched. Manga's arts. Okay, worst show. Manga's art style is very bad. So many boring side characters. It's a lot of characters. You think some are boring. That's perfectly fine. Hot take out of me. Power scaling doesn't make sense. Like, how does Shanks lose an arm to a sea monster when he had observation hockey? And how can Bonnie use Gear 5 even for a second when her Devil Fruit has nothing to do? Oh. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. My problem with this guy is both of these things are explained. my problem with this guy is both of these things are explained. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, you literally both of these things are vividly explained. Furthermore, even if Shanks didn't come out there and say, I let him have my arm, nigga, if he's that strong, what do you think happened? Just common sense. Yeah, like, this isn't even like, and that's kind of why, and I'm gonna use this to randomly get my shit off. I'm not for it. I'm not for doing this. I hate when people do this on Twitter, but I'm going to be a hypocrite for the next 5 minutes. This is exactly what I'm talking about when people tell me that Vegeta just clears Goku as a character. This is the shit I'm talking about. What? So we have to have this same thing where Shanks has to point to you and say, "Hey, I could have beaten that sea monster. After all, I have observation hockey, and I'm just way stronger than a fucking sea monster." Hell, Luffy punched it and he couldn't use hockey. But the reason I gave my arm up was because I really like Luffy, dude. I just wanted to give my arm up for the kid. Like, we have to do all of that just to get the shit off, bro? Like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, bro. I'm not a fan of it. And even then, even then, when it comes to certain things that aren't explained, you made it all the way to this. Of all the shows, too, right? Let's say that's not your cup of tea on the explanation. Of all the shows in history, and you've made it, Daghead, of all the shows in history, you're telling me that One Piece is the show that you think don't got some 100 episode from now explanation, my nigga? Let's just cut the shit. Let's just cut the shit right now. Of all the shows in fucking history, you think that fucking One Piece isn't an episode 2044 gonna explain why Luffy wears Crocs or some bullshit? Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So even if you need that WWE moment, it's probably gonna happen. Bloated imitation of Dragon Ball's legacy. Luffy is essentially Goku with a straw-hatted, air-headed, food-obsessed protagonist who... What the... The entire concept of Devil Fruits feels like a weaker version of Dragon Ball power-ups. Gear 5 seems like a Super Saiyan ripoff. What? Hockey feels like Ki. The structure of the story also mimics Dragon Ball, but stretches everything to ridiculous lengths. How many arcs have we seen where Luffy arrives in a new place, meets oppressed people, gets beaten down by an overpowered villain, trains to... It's the Frieza saga for... What? Dragon Ball is like 5 tournaments. What are you talking about? Oda does surpass Toriyama in world building. I agree. The level of detail in lore, geography, okay, cool. I agree with that. I agree with this. And it's not just because it's the positive part. It's because I genuinely do think, yeah, that this nigga's really good at world building. But at the end of the day, it feels like the series that took Dragon Ball's blueprint, stretched it to the point of exhaustion. Instead of improving on Toriyama's legacy, it dilutes it with endless filler and unnecessary complexity. This is dumb. No. Devil Fruits feel nothing like Dragon Ball. They don't feel related at all. I know Dragon Ball fans are stupid, but this is the only Dragon Ball fan I've ever heard say Devil Fruits and Ki feel the same. I've never heard some shit like that. Gear 5 Super Saiyan ripoff, I already know. I mean, wouldn't you argue Ultra Instinct because it's white-haired at that point? But that's stupid in itself. Hockey and Ki, if anything, Hockey feels like there's other power systems Hockey, like I would argue it feels more like JJK or even Hunter x Hunter before I would get to Dragon Ball. I'm not saying it feels like either of those, but you get what I'm saying? Like Dragon Ball? And not saying Dragon Ball is more complex. I have to do that for the internet, but the point is it doesn't feel like this at all. This is not even a little bit. The arcs, again, Dragon Ball arcs in order. The Saiyans come to Earth. So you said Luffy going planet to planet, and if we were to draw the timeline there. Luffy going island to island is like Goku going planet to planet. Well, Goku stayed on his own. Then Namek, sure, he went planet to planet. Then he's on Earth again. 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 Then different timeline. Then he's on Earth again. Then he's in the Tournament of Power. So there's 3 times, give or take, if you want to be technical, 3 times where he genuinely is going planet to planet. So you're just snitching on yourself there. And I certainly do not see how One Piece. I don't get this at all. I can't even continue. I can't even continue. Let's go to 2026. Let's see what people are saying in the little 26, and then we can get out of here. You know what? This one got me. These 2 got me. Oh, these 3. I like these 3. Good titles. This is the importance of titles and thumbnails. Here we go. Genuinely the worst anime I've ever watched in my Dear One Piece. Genuinely the worst anime I've ever watched in my life. There are no words for a show this terrible. Let's make what could be one episode 30 to give Luffy another angle. Terrible pacing, and I hate the art style. The Nami effect, as they say, has come to my attention and is now impossible to look past. Damn. Yeah, they're grilling them for this Nami effect. Is that what it's being called? Pacing complaint. Don't really necessarily have pushback for a pacing complaint. What I will say is it's starting to get a little disingenuous a bit, because I want to know how far these people that are saying this made it in the series. So boring that I didn't even watch it. I watched up until episode, okay. It's exactly as I all right, let's go. I watched up to episode 5, whatever the fuck, where the story actually got good. JK, I fell asleep before watching just because it's actually so boring. Like, seriously, if I got bored before even watching, that says a lot. If you want to watch something that's actually good, you should check out, oh. Do you think One Piece will get to episode 53,000? Gun to your head. Will you live to see where the One Piece is? This shit boring as hell, bro. I'm happy I kept going. This shit boring as hell, bro. Mid-piece fans glaze this way too much, and also cry when other animes get higher reviews than this mid-ass shonen. One of those rare anime where you have to say, bro, just wait till 669 episodes. It will get so peak after that. Well, you know what? I ain't watching 200 mid build-up episodes just for that 1 to 2 peak episodes. Just an example of bad writing. This may not be the right representative, and he may not have worded it the right way, but I actually ain't got too much smoke for Buddy. I ain't gonna lie. Wow, someone in chat. Shout out to a chatter. I think if you saw Arlong Park, if you saw Luffy put the hat on Nami's head and burn it down, you know what I mean if you watch that reaction. If you saw all of that and you said, all right, you can stop. It's just never going to be for you. I do hate this notion in anime, so I don't have smoke for you. Whether it applies to One Piece or not, we could talk about that all day. We've been talking about pacing all day. But I don't have any smoke for you arguing that the idea of just wait till it gets good is stupid. I 1,000,000% agree with that. Has hypnotized my friends. This piece of poorly animated slop... This piece of poorly animated slop barely qualifies as a I said it right the second time. What the fuck? Qualifies as a television show. It is impossible to make it through one episode without cringing. My friends are utterly obsessed with this, so I thought I'd give it a try, and it failed to entertain me in the slightest bit within the first 4 episodes I watched. And there is absolutely no way I would invest my time into the next 1,100 or so episodes. Do not watch unless you're an anime fanboy with far too much time on your hands. I've defended One Piece a lot in this video. I've laughed at some complaints in this video. I've even said that nigga ain't entirely wrong a lot of times. However, 4 episodes is crazy. You did not give it a chance, and your fans, your One Piece fans, aka your friends, ruined that shit for you. And that just is what it is. Now, if you a straw hat nigga in this comment section thinking I've been getting hate shit off on One Piece, yeah, you're a part of the problem. I've been defending it the entire time. But yeah, dog, yeah, you straw hat niggas are pretty annoying, and I'm not gonna lie. I actually relate to it so much so, there's the infamous I will never watch One Piece video on my channel. Like you niggas really are annoying. So I'm not gonna lie. If his friends have sat there, gassed the show up, micro spoiled around him, left him out of certain conversations because they won't stop talking about the show. He finally watches the show and he only gave it 4 episodes. Is he wrong? Absolutely. But their friends his friends, I would safely assume were annoying too. It's the worst anime of all time. I know, right? Too many episodes, terrible pacing, and just terrible in general. Bad story overall. The characters are bad. I would rather sit through any other show or movie than this. This show is a disgrace to humanity. This is the most overrated show of all time, and the fans are worse. I'm giving it 1 star because the adaptation is terrible compared to the manga. The pacing is the worst I've ever seen in anime. The show is so repetitive and predictable. Every arc feels the same. The show is, hey, gangy, time the fuck out. You can use a period. You've used 5 commas. You've used
5 commas. Your pacing's a problem.
5 commas in 1 sentence. You're pacing shit, buddy. Holy fuck. The show pretends to be deep with its themes, but it's not more than a comedy adventure. People enjoy the slop way too much. The characters are too cartoonish and the art style makes it worse. I watched it whole but couldn't get the hype. I don't believe you. And I'm not saying I don't believe you because you think it's bad. I don't believe you I don't believe that you read the show and watched the show, then gave it a 1 out of 10, said the fans are bad, and this is the worst anime you've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie, it just doesn't. You didn't even drop like an ounce of reasoning. You just dropped like shit I could say about any show ever. Chat, check it out if you think I'm lying. Naruto is way too overrated. This is the most overrated show of all time, and the fans are even worse. I'm giving Naruto 1 star because the adaptation is terrible compared to the manga. The pacing is the worst I've ever seen in any anime. This show is so repetitive and predictable. Every Naruto arc feels the same. The show Naruto pretends to be deep with its themes, but it's nothing more than a comedy adventure. People enjoy this ninja slop way too much. The characters are too cartoonish, and the art style makes it worse. I watched it whole, but couldn't get the hype. Naruto's a 1 out of 10 for me. So you didn't give me any reason. You didn't give me any reason why this isn't any anime that you wanted to fucking say it is. It literally doesn't work though. Last one becomes so ridiculous and boring. I love One Piece for years, but the recent direction has been disappointing. Gear 5th feels overly cartoonish and childish, which takes away from the intensity and emotional weight the series used to have. What should feel epic sometimes feels like a gag. The pacing also has become frustrating with obvious stretching and slow progress in many episodes. On top of that, the story focuses heavily on side characters while the Straw Hat crew feels sidelined. The world building is still strong, but lately it doesn't feel the same series that made me fall in love with it. Of all the ones, this nigga, the last one, we're ending on a strong note. He actually has certain talking points that are at least conversable. Starting off with the Gear 5 thing, I've already talked about it. Not going to beat a dead horse. We agree to disagree. I will never say I don't see where you're coming from, though. I mean, we'd be dishonest if we were to say normalizing laughing in a big time fight is normal for anime fans. This is kind of what makes One Piece individualistic, built different type shit from other animes, because yeah, the ultimate transformation for our main protagonist is going to turn the intensity down a bit because he's laughing and all that other stuff. Now, does it make sense? Yes, but yeah, this is fine. What should feel like sometimes feels like a gag. Yeah, this is a debatable talking point. I know chat will disagree. I know comment section will probably disagree and go to war over it either. You're not changing my opinion. I get it. I like it though, but I get it. The pacing has also become frustrating. Yada yada yada. Now this is where I want to talk about, because this, based on just Egghead, I can see it. I don't know what happens in Elbath before you niggas get get yourself banned. Please don't get yourself banned, chat. What I will say is, yeah, this is a concern. And the latter half of Wano, I would say not necessarily because, you know, King and Zoro had their fight, Sanji and Queen had their fight. So really I'm talking just Egghead, but you could kind of argue it got started in Wano. It do seem like the show is really going to tell the history of the world. The side characters are just being propped up because all in all, the side characters you should arguably view as your main characters. They're not the main characters. The Straw Hats are the main characters, but you could kind of view them as the main characters relative to their verse. And as a result, what you're doing is telling a great story, a great narrative, and greatly expanding on your world. But it is, unfortunately, at the cost of the Straw Hat. This and Egghead, it's pretty prevalent. And I would even just say this is a valid criticism of One Piece right now. Or at least a concern. Because I haven't read Elbath. Elbath might fix the issue right then and there. It might make it way worse. Only time will tell, chat. Do not tell me what it does. But what I would gladly say is, in terms of Egghead, it kind of became the Luffy show. I'm not gonna lie. It became really not even Luffy. It kind of became the Nika show. And everyone that had anything to do with that was on that island. If One Piece continues to go down that path, I think the show will still be good. But if your favorite character is any other Straw Hat but Luffy, that is unfortunately tough. It's a concern to have. It's an interesting concern to have. I wouldn't jump on that gun yet or I wouldn't jump on that bandwagon yet, I'm sorry. Jump the gun is the saying, LOL. Because ultimately, it's the one arc that I felt that way on. Like, obviously, there's other arcs where Straw Hats are kind of insignificant per se. Like Marineford, they weren't even there. But this is the one arc where I felt like, damn, they kind of just did nothing. Like, all of them just kind of did nothing. There's other arcs where they're more or less useful, but this one, I was like, oh, them niggas, like, if it was just Luffy, what type shit. So this is very interesting. The world building is still strong, but it doesn't feel like the same series that made me fall in love. I think One Piece has evolved, though. That's where I'll probably say 2-1, me and the Straw Hats. The series has evolved. I wouldn't say that it got worse. I would say that you're kind of overly concerned because Egghead sidelined a couple of your characters, but I wouldn't jump the gun and Jerry used it right. I wouldn't be like, yeah, the series isn't the same anymore. No, this is the exact same series. It explained everything the same way. It gave you one of the better backstories, and it always did backstories. In fact, it gave you one of the not only better backstories, but it was also one of the more fleshed out backstories, and probably the most important backstory, damn near. On top of all of these things, new characters that were introduced felt like they matter, even though when you initially saw them, you thought, I know damn well when we first see Bonnie, y'all niggas did not think this shit would be going on. No shot. Kuma maybe. Obviously Kizaru. But Bonnie, hell no. So One Piece definitely still feels like One Piece, especially if you only started feeling this way with Wano and Egghead, because you talked about Gear 5. It definitely still feels like One Piece, not to mention liberating Wano. So I wouldn't say the story changed, and there's really no reason that you should be falling out of love with it. And from a plot standpoint, you just want more Straw Hat time, and that's fair, and that is a concern. But those are my thoughts. Those are their 1-star reviews. Do I think One Piece is a 1-star anime? Absolutely not. If you guys want me to do this with like Naruto, Dragon Ball, whatever, please let me know. I think most Straw Hats know I fuck with One Piece. If you don't know I fuck with One Piece and you want to know exactly how much I do, here's a video linking me to all my very One Piece anime videos. Sorry, I ranked all my anime. If the editor actually linked that, that's gonna go to. Take care, stay blessed. We got other shit to do. We're live, baby. Bye.